The night sky over New York City glittered like a sea of diamonds, oblivious to the danger hurtling toward Earth. Among the stars was something alien, a shadow, invisible to all but the few who could see beyond the present. "Impact in 27 minutes, said Sarah Langley, her voice tight with focus. She stood in a dimly lit command room deep beneath the streets of Manhattan, her eyes glued to a glowing map of Earth's orbit. Around her, a group of elite tacticians and scientists watched in tense silence, each aware that their next move would decide humanity's fate. The Varkal were coming. For months, they'd tracked the movements of the Varkal warships, an alien empire known for their ruthlessness and advanced technology. The Varkal had crushed worlds, enslaved entire populations, and absorbed their knowledge. But they had yet to face a challenge like this, an opponent they couldn't predict. Sarah glanced at the ChronoSync device on her wrist, a sleek bracelet that pulsed with soft blue light. The ChronoSync was a technological marvel, allowing its wearer to glimpse fragments of the future, to bend time in subtle ways, rewriting events and shaping outcomes. The world's most brilliant minds had spent decades secretly developing this technology, preparing for the moment when humanity would need it most. That moment had arrived. "Are we ready?" she asked, her eyes meeting those of Colonel Ethan Granger, the leader of Earth's defense forces. "We're as ready as we'll ever be," Granger replied, his weathered face grim but resolute. "The strike team is in position, and the ChronoSync units are calibrated. The Varkal think they're about to walk all over us, but they're in for a hell of a surprise." Sarah allowed herself a brief smile. For the first time in days, the crushing weight of impending doom lightened, if only for a moment. But the Varkal were no fools. Their empire stretched across galaxies, their fleets unstoppable, their technology unmatched, until now. What the Varkal didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that Earth had become something more than just another conquest. Earth had become a paradox. 20 minutes earlier, in the cold void of space, the Varkal warship Predominator glided effortlessly, its sleek, black hull invisible against the starry backdrop. The ship was a leviathan, bristling with weapons powerful enough to turn planets into dust. At the helm, Varkal Commander Tyrax sat in his command throne, gazing at the blue and green planet before him, Earth. It was a quaint world, primitive by Varkal standards, but valuable. Tyrax had conquered many such worlds before, and this would be no different. "Prepare the landing pods," he ordered. "Begin the invasion." As his crew obeyed, Tyrax's confidence swelled. This planet had no significant space fleet, no planetary defenses that could withstand even a fraction of the Varkal's firepower. The humans would fall quickly, and the Varkal would absorb their knowledge, their resources, their very essence into the Empire. But as he stared at Earth, something gnawed at the edges of his mind, a lingering unease. His species had mastered the art of invasion, honed it over millennia. Yet something felt off. "Commander," said his second-in-command, Narvox, approaching with a data tablet. "There are anomalies in the human resistance patterns. It's as if they know what we're going to do before we do it." Tyrax's crimson eyes narrowed. "Explain." Narvox hesitated. "Our initial scans of their military installations showed no advanced technology, yet they're responding with impossible precision. Every strike we've planned, they've countered. Every ambush, they've evaded." Tyrax stood slowly, his armored bulk casting a long shadow over the bridge. "They're anticipating us?" "It appears so," Narvox said, his voice low. "But it's beyond mere strategy. It's as if they're seeing the future." Tyrax's unease deepened. He had never encountered a species capable of outmaneuvering the Varkal, until now. "Send down the first wave of troops," Tyrax said, his voice a low growl. "We'll crush this resistance, no matter how clever they think they are." But deep down, a flicker of doubt began to grow. 15 minutes earlier, Sarah stood at the edge of the command center, her mind racing as she ran through the countless possibilities unraveling before her. She could feel time shifting around her, each potential outcome whispering in her ears. The Varkal had launched their ground assault. Massive dropships were descending through Earth's atmosphere, carrying hundreds of their elite soldiers, each equipped with armor and weapons far beyond anything humanity could match. But they didn't need to match them. "Activate Phase 1, Sarah ordered, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. "We need to guide them where we want them." Across the globe, the ChronoSync-equipped teams sprang into action. In New York, Berlin, and Beijing, special forces moved as if choreographed, evading attacks that hadn't yet occurred, laying traps where the Varkal would be moments later. With each shift in the timeline, the humans bent reality just enough to stay ahead of their alien invaders. The Varkal forces landed amidst a chaotic battlefield, their plans already in disarray. Every time they thought they had the upper hand, the humans adapted. Soldiers dodged plasma fire before it was even shot, bombs were defused in the split second before detonation, and traps sprung moments before the Varkal could react. "They're not just defending themselves," Sarah whispered, watching the battle unfold on the screen. "They're playing with us." 10 minutes earlier, Tyrax paced the bridge of the Predominator, his fury barely contained. Every tactic, every maneuver, every calculation, outmaneuvered by these insolent humans. His mind raced, trying to comprehend how a species as primitive as Earth's could outwit the Varkal. "Commander," Narvox said, his voice shaking, "our forces are being overwhelmed. The humans are predicting every move we make. It's as if they are rewriting time," Tyrax finished, his voice full of bitter realization. "It's not that they see the future, it's that they control it." Narvox froze. The Varkal had encountered species with psychic abilities, telepathy, and even rudimentary forms of precognition. But never had they encountered a species that could manipulate time itself. "Then we must strike at the source," Tyrax declared. "Find the ones controlling time and eliminate them. Without them, the humans will fall." 7 minutes earlier, Sarah felt a sudden chill. In her mind, she saw it, Tyrax's plan. The Varkal had finally understood. They were coming for the ChronoSync teams, the humans who could bend time. "Colonel Granger," she said quickly, her heart pounding. "The Varkal know about the ChronoSync. They're targeting us directly now." Granger nodded, already adjusting the battle plans. "We've got countermeasures in place. They won't reach us." But Sarah wasn't so sure. The Varkal were more dangerous than any foe humanity had faced. For the first time, the future was hazy, unpredictable. "They're adapting," she whispered to herself. 2 minutes earlier, Tyrax watched as his personal guard prepared for their final assault. He would lead the charge himself, hunting down the humans who wielded time as a weapon. The ChronoSync technology would be his prize, and with it, the Varkal would be unstoppable. The landing pod jolted as it touched down on Earth's surface. Tyrax stepped out into the wreckage of a city block, his eyes scanning the horizon. His soldiers moved ahead, their scanners sweeping for the telltale signs of temporal distortion. "Find them," Tyrax growled. "End this." Present moment. Sarah stood at the center of the command room, her mind reaching through time, trying to pinpoint Tyrax's approach. Her ChronoSync pulsed, showing her flashes of what might come. Tyrax breaking through their defenses, capturing the ChronoSync device, and using it to enslave humanity. She couldn't let that happen. "Everyone fall back," she ordered. "We need to move." As the team scrambled to evacuate, Sarah felt time shifting again. Tyrax was close, too close. Then, without warning, the wall behind her exploded. The air crackled with energy as Tyrax himself stepped through the smoke, his crimson eyes locking onto Sarah. "So, you're the one," he snarled. Sarah's hand hovered over her ChronoSync, but Tyrax was faster than she expected. He lunged forward, grabbing her wrist in a vice-like grip. "You think you can manipulate time?" He sneered. "I will tear this world apart, moment by moment, until there's nothing left." But Sarah's eyes glowed with a strange light, and she smiled. "You still don't understand, do you?" She whispered. "We're not just manipulating time. We are time." With a flick of her wrist, the ChronoSync pulsed, just once, and reality itself shattered. Tyrax found himself standing alone in a field of endless stars, his mind reeling. Time had unraveled around him, and in that moment, he realized the truth. The humans were not merely using technology to manipulate time. They had become part of it, evolving beyond the limitations of linear existence. "You never stood a chance," Sarah's voice echoed around him, though she was no longer visible. "You're still bound by the laws of time, but we've moved beyond them." Tyrax reached out, but his form began to dissolve, swept away by the infinite flow of time itself. He had entered a battle he could never win, against an enemy that had transcended everything he understood. And as the stars faded around him, Tyrax realized that this wasn't just the end of the invasion. It was the end of him. With a blink, Sarah was back in the command room, her team safe around her. The Varkal fleet, once a terrifying presence in Earth's orbit, had vanished, wiped from existence in the blink of an eye. The threat was gone, erased from history. "Is it over?" Granger asked, his voice hushed with awe. Sarah glanced at the ChronoSync on her wrist, feeling the immense power it held. "For now," she replied. "But time is always in motion. We'll be ready for whatever comes next." The future was no longer a mystery. Humanity had become the masters of time itself.